Oh, one other thing you might be interested in. Over here, you see how I dropped opacity down? If you want a specific opacity, you can just click on this guy and type in what you want. But right here, above opacity, I'm going to close him. Motion. This is where you're going to zoom in on your video, or if you don't like something that's in your video, let's pretend we don't like having this chair here. So we're going to zoom in on the rest of the video and try and get rid of this chair. So let's see, I want to start my movement. Actually, let's just start it right here. It's fine, where we can see everything at full opacity. My scale is where we're going to zoom in. So if I come here and I type in 200, all of a sudden I'm zoomed in 200 in an awesome spot for her, right? So now that we're zoomed in and it's an awkward place, we need to move it. So we've got these two options in position. This is our X and Y position. You can click and drag, so that's going to take you right and left. And this one's going to take you up and down. So we want to go up so we can see her face. But you can see if I go up too far, you can see where my frame ends. So you got to be careful about that so we don't have just this weird black line up here. So we're going to move that back down. And then I'm zoomed in just a little too much, I think. So I'm going to pull out and move this up. Come out a little bit more. Let's make this 150. I'm going to zoom up so I keep it in the frame. And then this is where, excuse me, this whole video is now going to be that zoomed in. So it's going to show her that close. We can, if you wanted to, let me just see if I remember how to do this real quick. There we go. If we wanted to, say we want to zoom out, so we still want it all zoomed in right here, but as we fade out, maybe we want this to zoom out too, to show more of what she's doing. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to add a keyframe by clicking on this little thing next to scale. And I'm going to add one for position also, because I'm telling it that's where I want to start changing stuff. And I'm going to scroll down here to the end. 1014 is what we decided, right? And I just want this to be back to 100. And then I want this to go back to 540 because that's where it started. You can see down here it says anchor point. That's a good reference to help you if you can't remember what these numbers were before. So when I do that, let's see if I can show it to you. It's hard to see right here, but it added more keyframes right there when I changed it. So now I can come back here and click on these again. Actually, just kidding. Don't do that. I'm just going to close this. I'm going to scroll back out here and I'm going to watch it. So I'm going to hit my space bar. You can see how it zooms out when we did that. Now, let's get rid of our opacity real quick. That's over here, this keyframe right here. Let's change it back to 100, just so you can see the zoom effect that we just did. Now to change something that I already had in there, what I did was, I remembered that I did this at 1014. I just put my cursor back at 1014, and because opacity has this little thing toggled on, I can change whether or not we can edit the keyframes. And since I'm at 1014, I'm going to come here and click on opacity, and I want it at 0 to make my fade out option come back. So here we go. If we start, I'm going to come back here, down here to my timeline. I'm going to start at the beginning. We fade in. We're going to zoom out and fade out at the same time. Now, did you see that when I unclicked this clip, my effect controls went away? So if you want to work up here, just make sure the clip that you're working on is selected, and it'll show up. If your cursor is way over here and you have this guy selected, it'll still edit the one you have selected, but you won't see the changes happening up here. So if you want to see the changes happening, make sure your cursor is where you want it. And don't think that, like if I had another video clip over here and I thought I was editing its settings, if I've got this guy selected and not this guy over here, it's going to be editing this guy. And when you go and watch your movie to see if it's how you like it, it's not going to work you're going to be surprised that it's not what you thought it was. So in motion, you know, I showed you position. You can move it up and down. If you've got this guy, the animation thing toggled, it's going to add a keyframe every time you change something. So you see how that moved that there? You can see how it moves it because I added that. I'm going to hit Command Z, get rid of it because I don't like it. But if I'm just watching something and I decide to change it, it's going to add a keyframe unless I unclick this guy. But if you unclick that guy, anything you had before is going to go away. And that's why this is warning me. So I'm going to hit cancel. You just got to be careful and realize that anything you change under these settings is going to show up over here. So like it's going to make a change if you change something. So you've got position and you've got scale. We've got rotation. If you really wanted to rotate your video, we could put it on a, you know, we could skew it, or we could watch it all sideways, which, you know, we're not going to do, but it could be fun if you were doing something a little bit funkier than a church video. And I actually haven't played with this, so I don't know what it is. There's honestly a million things that you can do in Premiere. And honestly, I still consider myself a beginner because I only know these basic settings. But the best way to get used to it and know what you're doing is to just play with it. So hopefully this tutorial was helpful. Text me if you need any help.